A common question that comes up with non-resident property owners here on the Outer Banks of North Carolina is whether do they rent through Airbnb and VRBO, so a self-managed company, or do they go with a local rental agency who handles all of it? So I'm going to talk about this from a real estate perspective. If you are thinking of selling in the next few years, this might greatly change your decision. When a property is rented through a rental company such as Twitty or Seaside Vacations, the change of ownership is relatively seamless on the rental side. For example, if a rental property closes in February, it probably already has some future renters for that summer. The sellers probably already received some of those deposits. Well, that will show up on the closing disclosure, also called the HUD, and will be credited to that rental agency. And then after closing, the rental agency will take the funds and disperse those to the buyer. So it's very seamless. The tenants or renters, they don't even know there's a change of ownership. This is not the case with VRBO and Airbnb. So the way that those work is, and I should clarify this, I'm talking about them if they are truly owner managed, if they are actually with a local real estate company agency that promotes them on VRBO and Airbnb, there'll still be a seamless change. But if it's truly owner managed or perhaps managed by someone who does not have their real estate license, it's quite different. So when they change ownership, VRBO, and Airbnb, they do not allow for change of ownership. So you can't take the listing and just transfer the owner. You actually the owner has to go through, let Airbnb or VRBO know so they can, not add any extra fees. And they actually have to go through and cancel all future reservations. Wait for those people to get their deposits back, and then the future owner, so they probably do this typically, the day before closing or the day of closing, then the new owners have to go and contact all of those renters and get them to rebook if they wish, and they don't have to rebook. And on the flip side of that, the new owners do not have to let the tenants book again. Now, usually that's determined and talked about with the buyer and the seller at the time of contract. But the rentals that are with a local agency, such as, Seaside Vacations, Twitty, Beach Realty, all those, they are protected with the Vacation Rental Act up to 6 months after the change of ownership. That is not the case if it is self-managed through VRBO or Airbnb. So that's a pretty big difference. It's a lot more work on the seller's side. It does disrupt some tenants with the change of ownership if it's self-managed. So if you're thinking of perhaps selling in the next few years, you're most likely better going with a local real estate agency just for that reason. Now, there are definitely pros and cons of using Airbnb and VRBO versus using a rental agency. And I think a lot of times it depends on the agency that you use and that particular, owner and what works best for them. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions on the change of ownership, if it's with a rental company versus a self-managed rental company such as VRBO or Airbnb, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks.